All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode with Energy Arbitrage AI. I'm joined today by Stephen Thompson, founder of NexTrial AI. Good afternoon, Stephen. How are you?
Good afternoon, Kevin. Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Excellent. Excellent.
Stephen Thompson, founder of NexTrial AI, and we are the AI orchestration layer for clinical trials.
Okay.
A little bit about us. We exist to delete the maze that slows down drug discovery,
Uh,
120 days of waiting into 45 days of activation.
wow. Okay. We'll dive more into that. I'm calling in from Los Angeles. Where are you? Where are you, Stephen? Tell our audience.
Yeah, no, I'm in Ubatuba, Brazil. I'm halfway.
Wow.
Yeah, halfway between Sao Paulo and Rio, right on
Excellent.
the surf capital of Brazil. Most of
Uh,
the World Surf League champions are from here. Felipe Toledo,
right.
Gabriel
Wow.
Medina. Yeah,
Excellent. Excellent. I've been to São Paulo and I've been to Rio many times, so it's a beautiful country.
it is.
Beautiful country. Yeah, it's excellent. Well, that's great. I'm glad modern technology can connect us together on this podcast today. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, here, so let's talk about kind of you mentioned next trial. You guys have been redefining how clinical trials use AI to improve efficiency, right? We talked about that. How did the idea for next trial first come up to you?
Well, so it's really about the bottleneck. I originally have been working through data, just massive digital transformations for companies like American Airlines. Fast forwarding through many startups in agritech, and then I saw this firsthand at Biogen and Takeda, as well as Archer
Hmm.
Daniels Midlands, where drug discovery or life science pipelines, it's not a problem with the science, it's a problem with the process. So where drugs are discovered, genomic data handed off to to scientists, where they do
Right.
they solve the problem and identify a possible compound that's going to work to solve a problem. They then submit that over for IND, which is new drug discovery, to perform clinical trials on humans, and then it stops. And then it's
Mm.
a black box of maze. Farmers are left, out in the wind with,
Mhm.
working with large providers that, really, have basically 3% of the physician population today run clinical
Mhm.
trials, and
Mhm.
7%, because they know how to do it, and they're running the clinical trials. 97% of the world's population, 2.5 million hospitals, are left in the dark.
Wow. Wow. How did you get into all this? What's your background? It sounds like you've worked for some biotechs or biopharm, pharmaceuticals. Is that kind of your background? Maybe you can tell my audience.
Yeah. So, like I said, digital transformation systems to where
Right.
innovation,
Okay.
meets systems.
I see. I see. See,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. Or
Well,
SAP
go
and
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So, complex maintenance and repair operations at American Airlines, where, how does
Mm.
a bolt falls off of a plane and it stops the
Right.
plane? And again, there's
Right.
human lives at stake. How do you get that bolt sourced quickly through a supply chain and on that plane to reduce the amount of downtime? Similarly to
Gotcha.
pipelines and drugs, it's really
Mm.
about efficiency and predictive statistical analysis, and
Mm.
then making things more efficient.
Now, before we dive into your AI work, right? What drew you first to the world of clinical research and technology?
Yeah, really, it's like I said, all of the cures are
Hmm.
and the bottlenecks are really the delay. Basically, there's not a problem with the science. All clinical trials start with a delay. So when
Hmm.
I jumped into Biogen, working with them
Hmm.
on their clinical manufacturing operations and their
Hmm.
logistics pipelines for sending and receiving B2B transactions across the regulatory integrations to drug manufacturers, so that way they can
Yeah.
ship to the different sites. And
Okay.
working with they were doing the drug discovery and clinical trials for the Alzheimer's disease, that a cure that's out there now. And I
Right.
fell in love with the intelligence, the passion for doing something, that is meaningful. So
Mm,
really working with, the most intelligent minds that are passionate about what they're doing, and here to make a real impact.
that's great. That's great. Now, how do you describe NexTrial AI's mission in one line to someone new to the field, right? People listening today may not have any idea within, clinical trials and how that's done, but give us a, kind of your mission statement, maybe.
Yeah, well, like I said, we exist to delete the maze that slows down drug
That's
discovery.
it.
Turning,
Perfect. Perfect.
yeah, proof.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's great. Now, switching kind of into more of the your role, right? Maybe you could talk about, what's your day-to-day look like as the founder, right? Are you more focused on R&D partnerships or product scaling right now?
Well, so yeah, I mean, I start my day with gratitude and yoga, and then
Fantastic. Very good.
I ground myself there, and then I work, I do product, and I'm a highly technical founder, so product ownership,
Okay.
product management, as architecture, and then also that I spend about 30% of my time doing, marketing up front, go to market, deal with all the customers. We um, customer meetings almost every day, and we co-create our return on investment. So with being a native AI company,
Mm,
we are constantly reevaluating and validating our persona, product, problem, and promise. So
mm,
we
mm,
revalidate that every single day with every single
mm,
customer and capture feedback
mm,
loop, and then identify really where those value opportunities are, and that shapes the
mm.
product roadmap. So, I
I
manage the
see.
development teams. We've got a large regulatory team as well. So, really anchoring ourselves in the foundation of regulatory compliance, which is really where our moat is.
I see. I see. And is your team like spread out essentially? I mean, is it all based down in Brazil or is it kind of spread out?
We're in California, Belize, India, and Brazil. So we've got a lot
Okay.
of regulatory affairs in India, also
Okay.
regulatory development and engineering in Brazil. Delivery and infrastructure is in California and Belize.
Okay, where I sit. Very good, very good. Now, how does the next trials AI engine actually improve the trial design or execution process? I know you talk about speeding it up. Is that yeah? Maybe go into that a little bit more if you can.
Yeah, so really, others analyze the data, and we really execute the work. Selena, our AI
Mm-hmm.
co-pilot, he
Mm-hmm.
reads and red lines and generates regulatory dossiers, protocols,
Mm-hmm.
documents before any coordinator or physician even gets to click or submit. So she does
Mm-hmm.
that. She's built on Langgraph Pinecone. She's grounded in Clinical BERT RAG stack. We're all on
Mm-hmm.
AWS Health, Native Health. And, again, really around explainability with Langsmith. So we're using a big open source stack to manage
Mm-hmm.
our compliance, our HIPAA, our GXP. And we're fully agentic architecture. So,
Okay.
internal debates between regulatory agents where, 80% of the work is done before the human review. So that's again
Uh-huh.
removing that friction and using decision making and regulatory internal coherence maximization to reward the agents to perform and learn on for any successes and failures. So that way you're frozen. Okay. So that way we have better results, and we have
Okay.
a
Yeah.
foundation model as well, where we have our own learning and our own language model to learn all the
Mm-hmm.
regulatory. So that way we have regulatory adapters for each different region and each different country. So based on the
Mm-hmm.
logic of patients and protocols and sites and physicians, they're universal, right?
Mm,
Universal, but the
mm,
regulatory is jurisdictional and regional. So it's the same inputs, the same readiness is required for a site to be activated, and then we just, Selena then harmonizes based on the verification framework and jurisdictional framework for each and every regulatory body, like the internal review boards of the FDA, for example, in the United States.
gotcha, gotcha. Okay, great. No, that's great. Let's talk about this industry, about kind of more the competitive landscape and industry shifts. Clinical trials, the industry itself is evolving, right? And what trends are you most excited or concerned about right now?
Well, so yeah, most companies, like I said, are, digitizing the maze. They're taking old processes,
Mm,
they're putting workflows and AI bots on top of dashboard. So that's not, we've started
hmm
at phase zero at that setup, match, and activate phase. So we're capturing the data from the very beginning using the KPIs and the outcomes from the end and bringing that all the way back. So as we move every step of the way, we are deleting that maze. So I'm
hmm
excited about really the advancement of the learning models and reducing the need for GPUs and energy, for example,
hmm
to
hmm
have faster, verify faster and faster AI learning. So that way we can predict what might happen, faster.
I see. Faster. Got it. Okay. And using less energy, essentially.
Yeah, it's not about like
Now,
models, it's about the ones that are verifiable, right? The winners that
right.
that build trust, not just speed.
I see. Now, you maybe have touched upon this a little bit. Yeah. How do you see AI reshaping kind of how pharmaceutical and biotech companies now manage kind of patient recruitment, quality, or trial outcomes? Yeah.
So
Maybe you
yeah,
can add a little bit more color there. Yeah.
yeah. So today the patient recruitment starts after the contract and everything's been approved. Then they go
hmm
in and do the patient eligibility and recruitment plans. But what we have designed is now we're able to bring that back 2 steps back to where the site is now, right, a site is set up and we match that site to a trial. We're able to, with AI, with Selena, is able to identify the patient population, not a guess, not the demographics, but actual patient population using, we are using physics informed neural networks to really have better visibility and predictive patient eligibility engine outcomes. So we're able to identify before a physician even talks to a sponsor, we know exactly which patients and how many patients are eligible. And it's not a guess, not an assumption, it's a prediction. And that way,
hmm
better informed. So as it moves through the contracting phase, the sponsors can now, the pharmas can now see exactly if they have a goal of 3,000 patients during, before the contract is signed, they can then measure their funnel of how many sites and how many patients they still need. So as they're moving forward, they can increase and accelerate faster with better visibility and better statistics. So that way, again, the plan versus actual data and analytics during the execution can feed back through if they are seeing patient failures and eligibility. The improvements based on the failure rates, we can come back through and recommend a protocol or eligibility addendum to the protocol that says, you're not going to be able to meet that goal with these
hmm
50 sites or these 30 sites based on your current eligibility. So do you want to make a quick change to your eligibility profile to get the sites, or do you want to go outside and identify additional new greenfield sites that are not inside of your current network?
I see. I see. What kind of partnerships or collaborations have been most effective for you in scaling innovation sustainably?
Yeah, just really identifying, people that are disruptive, other founders that are disruptive, that see the same mission and goal, that have felt the same pain. There's a lot of really great companies out there that are that have been working in the space of data management. We're not in data management. We are AI native only. We don't take patient data. We take only
Hmm.
anonymized patient data for eligibility
I
and
see.
and then we
I
pass
see.
that back over. So again, it's one-to-one back into the patient EHR systems or
Mm-hmm.
electronic health records for the actual names of the patient recruitment plans. Additionally, for the file, managing the encounters of the actual day one execution, taking the lab work, taking the imagery, filing those documents. Selena can advise and generate an adverse event report for the
Hmm.
coordinator, but the coordinator and gives it to the coordinator. So the document's done, and all they have to do then is just take it, fill in the name, add in a little bit of detail, and post it into the current maze of documentation. But to answer your question, we've seen that partnerships of decentralized trials and being able to really kind of that outsource model and
Hmm.
expand community engagement to find those naive sites and increase the patient population availability, as well as other kind of AI companies that are entering into the market to be disruptive.
I
What I'm
see.
with inside of the agentic, the way agents are kind of all little organizations, all little people inside of an org chart. There may be a little bit of overlap, just like with any organization. Some people do a
Right.
little overlap work, and that's not a problem. So being able to say, yeah, my agent can read a protocol, your agent can read a protocol, that's great. What's your main focus in life? Our agents can talk to each other and verify and learn from each other. So really being collaborative and innovative with these partnerships and staying focused on what your main go-to-market objectives are.
Yep, that's great. That's great. Switching gears here, kind of talk about the more the current state and pain points, right? So, what are some of the biggest operational challenges NextTrial faces today, whether technical, regulatory, or adoption related?
I mean, clinical research is, historically risk averse. So,
Mm,
able to, and they've been in their processes and they have their networks of clinical sites. So they want, for example, they want new blood, they want new sites. The same physicians are overburdened, run competing trials with the same patients. So, but it's hard to build that trust. So this is
mm,
where
mm.
our AI does the verification of the data, does the verification, and does the real-time monitoring of sites' performance. So you can fail fast, for example. If a site is
Right,
not performing, you will know, with our platform, you will know immediately that that site is starting to fall off of the scatter chart, and you can
right.
do mitigating actions real quick to identify any improvements and implement those improvements and train, or fail them fast. So you
Mm.
immediately recover. So
I
again,
see.
it's really around adoption of new sites. It has nothing to do with really with AI adoption at this point.
I see. Okay, that's good. Um, so from your perspective, like, what's the hardest lesson so far in building AI for high stakes field like healthcare,
Yeah, I mean,
obviously?
it really it's just staying focused, staying positive, and keeping your mission, right? I mean, that's
Mm,
really what it
hmm.
is. You as
Hmm.
a founder, you have to doubt everything, you have to validate everything, but
Right.
staying close to your customer, and your customer is the one that validates you. When I meet with if I don't meet with the customer every single day, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. Like I have my doubts. I'm like, okay, what is it? The customers are the ones that tell us this is the greatest thing we've seen. Keep going, and they're the ones that we have to be our own cheerleaders, but you have to validate with customers. So that's the main lesson: is stay close to your customers and continue to validate return on investment and outcomes.
That's great. That's great. What metrics matter most to next trial? Speed to trial completion, cost reduction, data accuracy, or patient outcomes? What do you think?
So
Which
we
one is
are
matters
right.
most out of these few?
Yeah, so we being, our main focus and our main vision, of deleting the maze, not to digitize it, trial ready in 30 to 120 days, is about reducing complexity and increasing
Hmm.
efficiency,
Hmm.
reducing costs with those as the outcomes as well, and then speed. So with 100% accountability and explainability for audit, like I mentioned. I can't say that enough. Again, when we came across this venture with a partner, CRO in America, we
Hmm.
we started with, okay, this is the problem and the business case. We went
Right.
straight at looking at it from a regulatory lens. We built it from a regulatory lens first. Then we exposed this to the CRO. They fell in love. And we proved that success within 2 months. And then we moved that forward with advisory from some big pharma partners, and they were the ones that said, okay, now that you've done the setup and the match, we need to activate. We need that trust. How are you going to build that trust? And they
Hmm.
co-created a readiness framework, our zero rejection framework, and this is what we're going to market with. We're meeting with large academic institutions as well as large network of hospitals globally, and this fits everybody's framework, right? The
Right.
process, people, the technology, and it's all about explainability and making sure that everything is verifiable, and hands back
Hmm.
to a human to make the decision. Again,
Right.
reducing the amount of work, getting rid of the headaches, making it clear and no confusion, and explainability.
Got it. Got it. Now, you may have answered this, but the CRO, would that be a breakthrough case study or pilot results that kind of validate your platform's impact? You think that's a good kind of case study, a breakthrough case study for you?
That
Or,
was, yeah.
or are there others that you can mention to us?
Yeah, no, I mean we came into this with the CRO
Hmm.
partnership to solve the problem. They paid for the pilot case.
I
We
see.
solved the problem. They loved it. They became our customer and they said move forward. We went live with
Hmm.
our beta with them, and again
Hmm.
started to continue to iterate as we got the advisory and started to build that activation layer. This is when
Right.
we realized that we have a product that we can go to market with that's going to be beneficial for all of clinical research, and we've
Hmm.
identified a blue ocean where, like I said, everybody is really focused in on the patient interaction and the patient outcomes. We are focused in on patient outcomes, but because we're bringing in new physicians, instead of the way things work today, everybody's looking for the patient, but they're not going to the physician to get the patient. They're going for the patient, and they steal the patient from a physician and bring it into their clinical research network, where our mission is really to enable the physicians to participate from care to research, and start to really contribute, and expand that pool of thought leaders and key opinion leaders around clinical research. We've got
Gotcha. Gotcha.
we'll be hosting a webinar in about two
Hmm.
weeks, in the first week of November, called
Hmm.
careshift.global. You can sign up on careshift.global, and
Right.
this gives you a 3-minute quick survey. Again, what is the about your site readiness and how to enter in clinical trials? What's the revenue, the reputation, and the benefits of to your patients and to your clinic for this activity. And then again, we're activating within 30 days, and this is a framework that has been vetted by the IRB and in America, the CDSCOs and ethics boards, and in India, and we're
Hmm.
working on the Anvisa and CEP regulations in Brazil right now, which is actually, Brazil is the toughest market next to Japan in the world for complexity, where I'm seeing it at approximately 5 times the amount of regulations, laws, and jurisdictions and clauses than India, and India is like 3 times more than America. So
Wow.
really, yeah,
Wow. Wow.
taken more. the easier that started it off and kicked the tires and proved the concept in America and moving through
Hmm.
that big market while we, and then retrofitting and doing a repeatable process, learning for
Hmm.
our India while we're parallel building in for our go live in Brazil.
Got it. Got it. Now, kind of looking 6 to 12 months ahead, right? So in the future, what's the biggest milestone you want next trial to hit?
Well, in the next 6 months, yeah, in the next 6 months, it is activate 30 hospitals globally, whether in India and LATAM and America, major hospitals.
Hmm. Hmm.
Identify direct partnerships with the CROs in those regions, and then begin our expansion into the LATAM region, and then start building for China.
I see. Okay. Now, if you could solve one persistent challenge tomorrow that would unlock kind of your growth, right? What would that be for next trial?
Funding. Bootstrap startup right here, right? I being honest and transparent. Yeah, definitely. No, in order to really accelerate, again, we've got a repeatable process, proven
Yes.
success, and so being able to really excel in our ability to run parallel activities in global jurisdictions. Right now, we
Okay.
have capacity to launch in major hospitals in the United States, but the speed for the way that we're launching is a little bit slower, and then the capacity that we have in order to do parallel in Brazil and India is those are actually moving at perfect rate, but we do have the capacity the capability to
Hmm.
run multiple jurisdictions: Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Mexico,
Hmm.
Europe as well. The European
Right.
market has got a new, they're really focused in the European market. Just recently has announced more of an economic operational lens, which I find very intriguing, where they
Hmm.
are managing not only the patient outcomes from the trial, from an operational trial from the sponsors, but what is the sustainability and the economic impact of people's success and wellness based on the clinical trial. So it's a really nice post clinical trial economic lens that they're focused in on, and I find that very intriguing.
Great. Great. Now, kind of at my firm, Energy Arbitrage AI, right? I'm working with, optimizing energy use and cost forecasting using AI, right? Agentic AI platforms and helping organizations grow sustainably. Where do you see intersections between energy optimization and healthcare innovation, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's about again, it's not about bigger models and all of these colossal private data centers and GPUs. It's really about being efficient and more, allowing and enabling other companies to have their own models, smaller models, and
Hmm.
and not feed it back into the big machine where then it becomes a commodity, right? I mean, everything you learn, everything in AI has once it learns, it becomes a commodity. So by having startups and innovation having their own models and identifying that a smaller subset using less energy and less
Hmm.
GPUs. For example, Maya she was one of the founders of DeepSeek, not DeepSeek, DeepMinds, and she's
Hmm.
the temporary CEO of OpenAI. Just released with her company Thinking Machines,
Hmm.
the Tinker model, which then allows
Hmm.
you to train your own models very, very quickly, but still use
Hmm.
the LLMs like ChatGPTs for what they're good for, but keeping your proprietary information and your own learning internal to your organization. And this is the process that we follow as well, using jurisdictional adapters for our regulatory moat.
I see. I see. So, with the AI models, you talked about this, whether in clinical trials or in kind of energy markets, rely on data trust and predictive accuracy, right? What's your approach into maintaining AI integrity and transparency?
Yeah, I mean, we everything is 100% tracked and logged using our Langsmith and explainability. As I mentioned with our agentic regulatory and coherence maximization,
Hmm.
we log and cite every single document. So
Right.
when a protocol scientifically rigor document comes through, agent parses that document, chunks it out, and then when you ask a question about it, it goes directly to cite and explainability and auditability to that to the answer, and then it goes out
Mm.
and tells you in a nice human layperson's tone. But it also, before it responds to you, it comes back and does one more validation to make sure that it doesn't deviate from the original source and citing, and that all of that
Mm.
explainability is 100% logged and auditable. We were audit ready on day one.
Mm. Okay, very good. Stephen, would you be open to, kind of exploring how our AI powered efficiency models, like, could support your sustainability or data infrastructure goals? Is that something you've kind of considered,
We
or would
yeah,
you consider? Yeah.
I'd love to explore a little bit more. We are always looking to. We are a pretty low OpEx, so again,
Oh, good. That's
managing
good.
our yeah, managing our stack on AWS and building internally and not outsourcing, and
Mm.
building efficiently with
Mm.
our pipelines and our validation and Selena Foundation model and the way we learn. Again,
Mm.
we're using very low energy consumption, and so we're always looking to optimize our AWS, primarily our AWS, but from an energy perspective, we're not really necessarily using energy. It's mostly about AWS costs and infrastructure type of costs.
Got it. Got it. And then what kind of partners or kind of collaborations are you kind of most open to, you think, in the coming year, exploring that,
Yeah, I
if
mean, like
any?
I said,
Yeah. Yeah.
any company that we can interact with, our Selena model, our AI orchestration agent,
Hmm. Hmm.
someone has a predictive patient eligibility engine and they want to, and they're in a hospital, our orchestration work can work directly with theirs.
Right.
For example, we're Selena can work with anybody. AI talks to AI better than we do.
Hmm.
you know, so
Yeah.
we
Right.
it's really just understanding the business model and the partnerships and making sure that it all makes sense. But again, in this domain of healthcare, all of our missions are exactly the same. It's to delete
Hmm.
the maze and bring healthcare and bring cures to patients faster.
I got you. How many people in-house do you have that kind of manage Celine and kind of the AI engine of yours? So do you have a team of people? I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of regulatory folks you mentioned. What's the size of NexTrial AI's staff?
12, what are we now? We're 12. We're 12 humans.
12.
12
Yeah,
humans,
12 humans, and then of course
25 agents. Again,
agents. Got it.
yeah.
Got it.
So, the agents
Okay.
are our AI, right?
I see.
The way we build is, AI does coding, right? We don't need
Right.
coders. We
Yeah.
need
Right. 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 Right.
We
Right.
need people that can build a specification, that understand the requirement, that understand the outcome, and that can
Hmm.
think, make a decision. AI doesn't want anything. We humans want things, and we need to tell AI what we want, and AI can deliver it fast. So what we do is we build a specification, and we collaborate as a team. And you don't want a big team. You want, I mean, today, obviously we'll have
Right.
different teams for different reasons, but the
Right. As you scale. Right.
yeah, but
Yeah.
we build a specification, we have a requirement, we then debate that specification, and then we make it an executable a specification AI then does a lot of the coding, and then obviously our engineers and AI and ML team, go through and validate, make sure that it's working, and test and validate. AI
Right,
does a lot
right.
of the QA and the testing as well. We manage deployment, smart pipelines and continuous integrations. And then we bring the humans back into the spec and say, okay, now what does the spec change with what we just learned? Bringing on Panama, for example, how does that
Mm,
change? Bringing on a new language model. If we
mm,
need to bring
mm.
on, doing Portuguese is a really hard one. That's the hardest thing in Brazil. No
Okay.
AI speaks good Portuguese. So,
All right.
building a language strategy is something that we then build that back into the spec. What's the impacts across the board? Throw it over to AI, let it build it. We test, boom, back to the spec. So we're
Mm.
using humans as thought leaders and decision makers, and then letting AI do what AI does best.
I see. I see. Well, Stephen, thank you. Thank you for all that. I guess lastly, I'd say if my listeners want to learn more about NexTrial AI and connect with you, how best should they go about doing that, learning more?
Yeah, like I said, we've got our website, nexttrial.ai. That's where
Excellent.
all of our information is. You can contact us there. LinkedIn,
Excellent.
yeah, Think People. So slash Think People is my name because people first. We've got our webinar coming up, a webinar series to bring in new physicians and teach new sites and new clinics and physicians in called careshift.global. So we'll be hosting that. And again, this is a big market, and we're here to really decrease the activation time, save the workload of coordinators so that way, they can focus in on the patients.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you again. Thanks for your time today, Stephen. We learned a lot today.
All right, awesome. No,
All
thank you
right.
very much.
Thank you. Thank
It's been a
you.
great, it's been a